Welcome to AEW 360 Live at Advertising Week, New York. This is day 2. I am with Damiam Garbaccio, EVP of Nielsen Marketing Cloud. Make sure I get that exactly right.
Perfect.
So what is the cloud part of it? So let's talk about programmatic, because you just came out of the next era of programmatic. What is Nielsen Marketing Cloud doing with the programmatic stuff?
Yeah, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It was a great panel, and it really talks about the core competencies of what the Nielsen Marketing Cloud does. The Nielsen Marketing Cloud had its evolution in a business that Nielsen acquired called Excelate. I was the Chief Revenue Officer and lead executive there to bring a couple things into the next gen of marketing technology. One is data. So we have a tremendous data asset that Nielsen owns and Excelate owns that is a lot of purchase behavior, TV viewership, media viewership, so a lot of very applicable data for targeting and programmatic targeting. So it's our we call it our DaaS business, our data as a service business. Additionally, we link that data to our SaaS business, our software as a service business, known as our data management platform. So we work with brands, media brands, CPG brands, retail brands, and others to help link that data that they own to the data that we have. And it gives them a software platform by which to view that data, understand more about their consumers, and really target programmatically, hence the panel, better. So reach people who are more in market or more apt to buy your product versus others. So it's just a way to better target and better profile your customers. And then thirdly, which is kind of the most innovative and new part of the Marketing Cloud, is really around measurement and attribution, which is taking the learnings from the first two pieces that I just mentioned and two products or solutions that the Marketing Cloud has and tying them back into an end result. Closing that loop to say, did this data and targeting and actionability that I use lead people to buy my product, buy my competitor's product? What was the lead time by which they sold? So it's really around measurement. Are the efforts that I'm using these other products and services for leading to the results that I want? And Nielsen has a very long and tremendous history in measurement. So linking these all together has been tremendous in the last 2 years.
What are some of the keys to figuring out that attribution part of it? Because I know that with everything that we're faced with, all the marketing platforms, that the attribution is really one of the most difficult pieces. How does Nielsen Marketing Cloud handle that?
Yeah, it's a great question. You need sort of two things. You need connectivity. So like you said, people are marketing and leveraging a variety of different platforms in the digital media and even going into addressable linear space. So this connectivity of platforms, ad tech, martech, whatever, you need to have your tentacles in all of them. Right. So the data that you have and the ability to track needs to go beyond one or two platforms. It needs to go to the entire ecosystem. And that is not an easy task. So the ability, and that's the infrastructure, our Marketing Cloud infrastructure, connects to over 150 different media platforms, and our tag ties that back to the ability to attribute. So it's really connecting to everywhere an ad can be, right, to oversimplify it. And the second piece, as I mentioned, again, great question, is you need that offline and online transactional data set. So you need to link that to, did they purchase a car, did they purchase a bar of soap, toothpaste, and with that, you need to own data or have partnerships to have that data accessible and link it. So that connectivity links to that offline sale. You may be familiar with a data set called Nielsen Catalina. Reaches over 140 million individuals and their CPG purchase. Nielsen Buyer Insights is 90% of all credit card transactions, so literally where individuals are shopping. Right. There's a variety of different automotive applications to link it to a vehicle sale. So all of those require the connectivity and the data set, and we are that connective tissue.
Yeah, that's interesting. You actually mentioned automotive twice. So as an example, and I've heard that a few times, where you're linking that offline sale. What is it specifically about automotive? How are we figuring out, how are you guys figuring out how somebody's seen an ad and they've acted on it and bought a car or something along those lines?
Sure. I talk about that topic a lot, so it's near and dear to my heart. I always get made fun of because I use the expression like, why do you rob banks? That's where the money is. In automotive, there's a lot of money there. So one, there happens to be a vertical where there's a lot of spend, CPG's another, retail's another, a couple others, financial services, et cetera. but auto is certainly usually number 1 or 2. So one, it's a ripe for spend and attribution's a high-priced, high-ticket item. Secondly, there's a variety of companies that have the offline sales, companies like JD Power and Polk and Experian and a few others that actually have access to that. We happen to partner with JD Power,
okay.
Which is a great data set and been a tremendous partner of ours. In addition to that, one of the things that I think is really important is it's not just, hey, I ran a campaign and 3 months later, because you don't purchase it immediately,
right.
I sold a car. What we're tracking is, and we kind of have a product called in-flight analytics we can talk about in a minute, is really people who are, think about it, in consideration for a vehicle. So we have that data via partnerships that we have, or Nielsen owns that data. Secondly, it's the second stage of that funnel is deep in market. So I went from considering a car to now I'm submitted a quote or on a dealer website. Okay. So I think that's kind of a great next step down the funnel. And then finally, and it is a little time after, did they purchase that? So we use that offline transactional data set. The most interesting piece of this, and I mentioned our in-flight analytics product.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so that's a big part of that is about being proactive and not reactive in terms of some of the measurement and attribution. So historically, and mostly because of the access to data, like I mentioned in the auto example or even CPG example, you get those data sets, monthly, but it's usually could be 3 or 4 months in arrears. So a lot of campaigns that may be spent, as an example, for a Ford F-150 or a Nissan Pathfinder, whatever it is, you wouldn't know until after the money's spent how you performed and what was the return on that ad spend.
Right.
So what we tried to do and what we've created is more of an in-flight analytics product that also shows, yes, indeed, we give you that in arrears sales lift report or that return on ad spend, but while a campaign is running, let's say you have 4 creative running for a particular auto campaign, because we're tracking, like we mentioned, we're that connective tissue, and we're tracking each creative and identifying them differently, we know which one of them, literally within hours of it launching or minutes, which one of them is tracking down that purchase funnel, which one is considering a car, which one is deep in market for a car. So that is a very good signal that someone, a particular creative or tactic is working. So it allows marketers to understand where they should spend their money. Should they take budget away from a campaign that's not performing?
Sure, yeah.
Add it to a campaign that is, thus optimizing a campaign in flight, hence the name in-flight analytics.
It's saving you money in the long run because you're not having to wait until after it's all said and done and the money's gone.
Correct.
Great. Damiam Garbaccio, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
It's a pleasure having me. Thank you very much. Great event.
All right. Well, come back and join us for some more AW360 at Advertising Week New York. We'll be back soon.